This is in the green room. Everybody, welcome in. We're getting ready to do I Am Not My Diagnosis with Michelle Perry Roberts, and I get to be her host. My name is Rhonda Liebig, and I'm just setting up, being online, just doing a couple different things before we get going here. All right. So, Michelle, I can't see your face yet. There we go. I can see Michelle, but I can't see her face. Hey, welcome in.
Well,
My name,
thank
my
you.
name is Rhonda. Hold on, Michelle. I'm introducing you. My name is Rhonda Liebig, and I have this opportunity to host and introduce Michelle Perry Roberts. She has been doing this kind of a soft opening for her podcast, and we've been having a lot of fun. I feel like Michelle, watching her grow, it's like I get to see this person that's just using more and more of her vocals. And I think that us out here, one of the ways, because Michelle's going to be talking about using your voice, making sure that you're using your boundaries. She's been learning a lot this last month, and she wants to share that. And I'll give you a little bit more of an introduction to that too. If we keep using our voice and we get real with what we are doing out there, like really from the heart, being able to speak it, tell people, hey, I want to be treated better. I want to be seen and heard. This is really what this podcast is about today, is being able to show up, feel strong, and feel like you're kind of changing maybe generational things and the way you used to show up, because every day you get a new identity where you step in and you get to be a bigger, bolder person, beautiful person as you start doing this. And people used to say, well, I'm being nice. That's why I'm just so nice. Everybody takes advantage of me. And I was like, yeah, that's true. You need to stop being nice. And then I was like, no, actually, nice really is that you get to share those boundaries in a very loving way. You don't feel triggered because there's something that you're just growing into that you're like, oh, I need to speak to this before even that anger starts, or like, oh, poor me, which was what I would do. So Michelle and I don't know if you have a friend like this or a client, but we text in the middle of the night sometimes. Sometimes there's just something deep and heavy. And even if I don't get it that night, Michelle knows if I'm awake and I'm having my, kind of just visions of different things, I'll catch things that she's sending my way. So last night we were talking, and the thing that I know for sure that something new is this deeper thing about making sure that you are looking at your health, how your stress affects your health, being able to speak to this thing, especially if you're running a podcast, about how you're seeing others out there getting affected by their stress and what you're learning from them. It's about getting paid also. Sometimes we're doing the work and then somebody that still doesn't pay us because they're just used to like, oh, keep proving to me, keep proving to me. And there's this big deal about if you're doing work for somebody and you're used to proving and proving and proving, and then, so, and you feel like you have to kind of get them to like get in your space so they'll pay you. And there's all this stuff that happens when we're learning around money, that you start really realizing that, hey, you're a badass. And that when you're owed some money, this is the way you get to control your life, get to control your vision. I believe this is what the show is about. This is what Michelle and I were talking about in the middle of the night last night. Michelle Perry Roberts, welcome in. Did I nail this? Is this kind of the area
You,
we're
you
talking
did nail it, because it's amazing what one incident of stress can change can change everything. It changes in my body. I had a very stressful September and October month. September was when my son passed away. So kind of crazy things always happen. The last couple of years, I've totaled cars. This year, I kind of had a mental breakdown in a way, but it also, um, my pain was so bad, I ended up causing an MS flare up or fibromyalgia. They still can't distinguish which one, where I was unable to lift up my arms. The pain was just intolerable. I was going every day to get pain shots and chiropractor. But it's amazing what stress does for the body. And I honestly thought I was going to lose it. But, I have deep faith and so many deep things that life is changing for the better. So I've had more opportunities once I left the toxic environment I was in. I did it because people were getting hurt, and everybody in Reno knows me, so I can't be associated with a company where they're they owe a ton of money to everyone in town and not paying people that you've brought on to help shape the business. So the bottom line is that I walked away from it. I'm very grateful that I did, but now I'm opening up the doors because I had to reinvent myself within 60 days where things are coming together. It's a little slow, but I'm very persistent. And when one door closes, in my mind, when one door closes, 5 others open. And that's what's happening with me right now. But to go through that, you think you can save yourself from that transition. I was working 12 to 14 hours a day for that company, putting my heart and soul, and not, and Rhonda kept slowing down. I go, no, I got too many people to help and too many things to do. But I should have listened, because I wouldn't be in the predicament that I got in.
Michelle, I was just staying quiet just to see where you go with this, but I know I hear that you're learning. Can you share with me so much about what you're learning? When I was reading, like I said, we'd sometimes text in the middle of the night, and I think this podcast is so important for you out there that are dealing with aches and pains, and you can really feel that your lifestyle is affecting you. So Michelle, you were sharing how many hours you're working, and I was just saying, Michelle, breathe and listen. And when you're in the middle of it, that doesn't mean anything to you. And so, but I mean, when you come on the other side, then you're like, here, I just leveled up, because everything you said, I believe that too. It's just, I'm in the cycle. So we're just adding tools to be able to, so you can figure that out before it happens, because you keep getting smarter and smarter and growing. And Michelle, I appreciate being your coach, because when I watch you go through these, I'm learning to kind of let you go a little bit too, just kind of let you kind of discover on your own, how much can you handle. And I'm also speaking to your community, and we're running live on YouTube also, but really discovering what you can manage on your, when you are getting these diagnoses for chronic diseases, in your past, Michelle, you just been, I'm talking to everybody too, you just been pushing and pushing yourself, but you're realizing, here, wait, I could go at any time. I could totally leave this earth if I just keep doing this. Because there were times you're like, I almost went to the ER, and I was like, oh my gosh. And that was the beginning of you discovering what you're going to deal with in your pain every single day. So I appreciate you. A question for you. What are you learning from this? I hear that you're speaking about the company, but what are you learning? You are a super powerful mama coming in today and discovering certain things that you've really grown from in these past 60 days.
Well, I'll tell you, one of the things I've learned from is that I can do anything. One door closes, and I have faith that more will open. And what it did open, and then it kind of got closed again, because one company's not hiring me till January, and the other company can only have me 5 hours a week because they're just starting out. But I've learned to also, okay, I got to think outside the box. How can I make money? So that's what I did the last couple days, and things are starting to come together. Nothing's in my bank account yet, but there's 2 projects that I can definitely make some money on, because there's stuff in my past job that I did that this new company could use. And all the time and energy that you put into something, I just have to learn to let it go. I can't, because I try to keep, this is my belief in myself. My past life, not in my past life, my executive life, I had projects, 30, 50 projects everywhere. I could handle it all. Well, now with your, even though my brain's improving, I cannot handle all those projects in my head. So I've had to learn how to write things down and do things differently.
Oh my gosh, Michelle, you just brought up something so awesome. So anybody else out there that knows that they can like spread themselves thin, but still like a juggler. But what's this podcast about? It's about that you've had 8 chronic diseases. So you know that you were serving others. What are you learning about how to serve yourself now in this purpose of what you're talking about? And
Well,
also your brain injury, like your brain is saying, I'm going to work for you, but I'm not going to let you do all that because you're going to be gone again because you almost died, or like literally almost died. You were in the hospital for almost, well, Michelle, was it a year? I know that you were like down for
well, I spent
months.
9.5 months in the ICU, 6 months in the nursing home, and 5 years of home health. So I was pretty much sick for almost 10 years, if you add it all up. And
And
then,
you'll do that. You'll do that for people, and you realize. So, what are you learning about your body and what you want? What is your goal? Ooh, what is your goal moving forward from what you're speaking about today? You're feeling better than ever, even though you're still feeling pain, but better than ever than what you were for the past 60 days.
yeah. One of the biggest things I've learned is I have to stop and do something for myself. It's to get back into the gym. It's to go have a sonic bath or be in the red light therapy. And I totally forgot about my friend has this great business. We're all in a salt room and it's called Pinnacle Wellness. And I'm going to go spend Saturday there because what's happening too, where I was working, my friend is going through the same thing. I saw her last night. She's going through the same thing I went through. She's about ready to crash. And our other friend in Iowa is in the same boat too. None of them, they keep going in. And I'm like, you guys got to just step out and trust God. And
Yeah.
that's what I did.
Gosh, Michelle, I hear what you're saying. They're not getting paid, but they're working because they believe they will get paid, but they can't stop because they're afraid if they stop. So I hear what you're saying. So you're saying, hey, bring in the divine, bring in God. God is there for you. And what I notice is that we'll have this conversation and you'll feel the same way because your body's in pain. You're trying to get out of that haziness of how pushed yourself, how much you push yourself, and they take a breath in, and all of a sudden we have 5 things to follow up on. You're like, oh yeah, there's money, there's money. This is future, this is future. But all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, you're consistently, and this is special. Not everybody brings in money this way. And Michelle thinks that she does, and like she's like afraid with this money thing. But if you had this talent, you're going to be feeling, man, I wish I had this. But what happens? I'm going to talk to Michelle as if she's not even here, but what happens is Michelle just never knew that money was around her. Like there's all these things going on that she could easily be charging for because she's getting good results. And so when we first started working together, I think by now you're past tenfold of what you were working with when we first started coaching together. But you already had this superpower where you're just doing all these things because people knew, I don't want to say take advantage of, but don't you think so? If a company can see you can do something, you're doing it for them, but you just didn't have your wits end about cash and your
Yeah.
comfort level with it. But so okay, so you have this meltdown 60 days, but right away you're like already making connections. You can barely lift your shoulders up, you can barely speak, but your energy is with the cash. And that helps you, but you'll hurt yourself for it too. What are you learning about that, Michelle?
Well,
Cash is always around you.
one of the biggest things I've learned, I don't realize what I have in my back pocket or what I have, you just, when you think of, because my mind was in, oh my God, what am I going to do? I need money. I got to go get a job. I got to do this. I got to do that. And when I step back and going, oh, I could help do this. I could help do that. This company needs this because I just did it for another company and now I can share it and get paid for it because it's my work.
Yeah. And what are we calling that? Your like that's your intellectual property.
Well, it's the intellectual property, but it's also things that you know you are like I do so many things, sometimes I forget what I do.
Mhm.
That's the
Understandable, huh?
that is probably one of the best things is that I don't realize how well I do realize how talented I really am. And I do forget that sometimes because my whole life I've been working since I was 12 years old because I was told, I'm sorry, we can't buy you clothes. You have to go, I'd go to my dad's house and I'd get whatever I wanted.
Wow.
And I had a credit card at 5 years old from my grandparents. I was a shopper back then.
Michelle, I did not know that. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. Now Michelle's really revealing herself about this whole shopping thing. I love it.
And that is my addiction is shopping. And that's one thing I've been working on. But the more that I learned of, holy crap, I've done a lot in my life. And there's so many things I just take it upon myself to learn, yes, I went to college and but I'm taking stuff that I did when I was at a hospital as the marketing director, bringing it to another rural community. So you're just like, your talents really never go away. They're still there. What I did, in 2007 is when I woke up one day, I couldn't see and I couldn't move. And that was all based on stress. I had high powered jobs making, seven figures, six or seven. Well, seven would be a millionaire, was it? So it'd be six figures. Having a six-figure job, making more money than my husband as a doctor, and my life was great. And then I woke up one day, I couldn't see and I couldn't move. Everything changed. It was like the rug was pulled out under me. I spent
Well, Michelle, you're on a roll here, but can I just add something in? Everything was great because you're connected with cash, but what were you doing to your body? Like, that's why you had this fall. So you're going there, but let's just put that in there.
I wasn't doing anything with my body. I wasn't working out. I wasn't eating right. I wasn't sleeping. I was like working 12, 14 hours a day, getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning because the company was back east that you had to be on calls. I was just like so focused in the money, but I was not taking care of my vessel that I had that needs to eat and exercise and be stress free.
And there's something about that with the whole money thing because when you start talking about like, well, is money really everything? You would say at some point maybe yes, because you're breaking yourself to do that. But then now at this stage, what would you tell people about health and watching your vision to break in your body for somebody and you're making money? But what do you find is what do you want to say about that?
One of the hugest things I'm going to say is that you have to take care of your body every day. You have to be right with, I'm a big believer in God and God uses me in his divine. And I ask him every day, God, what do you want me to do? Who do you want me to help? And all of a sudden, these people pop into my life.
Total alignment, huh?
It is total alignment. And when you're using your spiritual gifts, man, I'm not stressed anymore because I know God is in control of all this. Because I thought I was going to lose, I don't know, my mind was going into not the dark place.
Yeah. I felt it. I was just like, and what's interesting is I saw your money just totally like all of a sudden it's gone. And I was just like all calm. I go, Michelle's got this. Michelle's like, what the heck? A typical would happen to everybody. And I'm just like, I'm just holding the space going, no, you got this. No, you got this. And so you got to discover that based on how much you could see through with all the pain you were dealing with, that you're like, and by the way, you were still trying to find jobs. Like you're actually starting to apply for jobs. This is how Michelle doesn't relax. And she's relaxing more than ever, though. But I didn't talk to her for a few days. And all of a sudden, it's this, well, I applied here, I applied there. And it would serve all the past stuff that Michelle has done. That's why they probably hire her in an instant when they got to meet her. But it was like, no, you're not going to a job. And Michelle was probably like, I'll F you. I mean, I don't know, maybe not. But the truth is that I do know that Michelle does have a lot of gifts. And yes, you went to college, but really your talent is being able to listen to what people are dealing with, because you were working when you first started expanding and getting to this vision of helping people. It was before clinics. It was
Yeah.
two men that you actually found out were not on the up and up with some of the stuff they were doing, but it was the experience of saying, here, wait, you're building tiny homes. I can help you. I have the connections. And then all of a sudden your brain, like there's something that started wiring in your brain that you remembered, like, here, wait, I know all this stuff. I can take care of you right now. I can. And like all of a sudden the next Michelle started awakening. And then you started doing these clinics. So with your podcast saying, I am not my diagnosis, what are you learning as we're starting to clip off? Or we have probably maybe 8 more minutes or so. But what do you want to speak about with your health and what you're actually learning, what you want to do moving forward? And give me some heart with it, because there are points you must have been scared. I know, just watching it, I was concerned.
Yeah, I was very concerned about what was going to happen if I didn't change my mindset. One of the other things I've learned is that I'm okay. God loves me, and I have all these wonderful gifts that I get to share with others, but not to be taken advantage of. You know, using my voice has been the biggest thing that you've taught me, Rhonda, is not stay quiet about it, but stay in the presence to say, this is what I've accomplished. And, you know, I've took one clinic, I had to take him to small claims court. He owed me a bunch of money. I did win.
Yeah.
And then there's other places that are not paying right now. So you got to get creative and have that heart-to-heart conversation with them.
And you using your voice now, you're forcing them to talk. Everybody doesn't tell the truth, but before you would just be like, maybe like everybody says, nice, let's keep showing up and working, keep showing up and working. But really, you're learning that if I use my voice, but you're doing it in a nice way, you're not like, saying facetious things, but maybe you want to, because the frustration of that, of knowing that they're not paying, or they're not being straight up with what's going on. So moving forward, what are you learning about, because you brought up the voice thing, what are you learning about in your discovery using your voice more? Is it scary for you because you're opening up more?
It was very scary for me, because I didn't feel like I was good enough. And now I'm feeling that I'm good enough and not being taken advantage of. So that's huge.
Well, you're talking to a lot of people here, because that you may not be saying that in your head. It shows up in different ways. Because I remember when I had that issue, and these show up for us. And I was like, oh, I don't have that, because I wasn't using those words. But when you're not getting paid, or somebody says something to you and it upsets you, and it's not right, like they are messing with your character, because they just keep saying you're this and that, or there's just these things that people are trying to push you in a way that you're not really using your voice yet. That all, like, Michelle, that's wonderful that you said that. So it sounds like you're leveling up then with feeling good enough, which really connects with your nervous system, connects with your healing in your body, your observation of what you want from your body now as you're healing. Tell me about your body. What do you want? I know you want a good full recovery from the past 60 days, which you built up, and you've been trying to heal now. But what are you expecting from your body? And share with your body about like how you're going to change things besides just the workouts. I think.
Well, I want to
watch you do meditation too.
I've never put meditation in my life, and I think you've been sending me meditations has definitely been helpful. But meditation is a huge take on this, and so is mindfulness, because I never even thought about using that practice, because my mind, it was like, I'm not good enough, I'm not doing this right, I'm not, because it was just self-sabotage, because that's how I was brought up. Nothing was ever good enough. But now I say, damn, that was really good. Nobody can do that. So
that's your special gem, when you actually are in alignment, because that's true. Nobody else can do it, because you saw how you did it. You're doing it in your unique way. nobody else can do it like that. Same as it's empowering everybody, saying, be yourself.
Yeah.
Be yourself. I love this.
The biggest part more than anything, I look back from the beginning where you and I met. I was working with the narcissist.
Oh, yeah.
And then you're like, okay, that one was an experience. And then you get another company you helped to, and they were crooks. And you're like,
Yeah.
my reputation means far more to me than a paycheck.
So we're
So
talking about vocals here. We seriously are. But then you started learning that you were actually receiving more and more money. Like all of a sudden, there's this thing where your brain did get repaired by one of the companies that is not doing well. They're not going to probably be around anymore. But they really took care of you that way and started repairing. Because like just overnight, all of a sudden, I'd say within a month, I'm talking to Michelle and like she's telling me all these things I didn't know about her, and it's just because she's firing and wiring, like everything's coming back together, and you're telling me all these things about you. I'm like, no wonder why you're a superstar, but it brought in more of your talent to help more people. So this next stage with you learning about your voice, knowing when I'm not good enough shows up, because we're all going to deal with that. It just, within ourselves, and we know how to step into it if we carry that. So I hear meditation, sleep,
yoga,
and
yoga's going to be my new thing.
yeah.
And the biggest thing is my body is a vessel, and you have to take care of this vessel. Because I've always abused my body, being an anorectic and a bulimic.
Yeah.
There was so many things that, laxatives to diet pills. I mean, my stepmother had me on diet pills when I was 13.
Yeah, just sharing a terrible thing that she was going through, thinking that was going to help you because you're some tall, beautiful blonde and you just stay a certain way. Like the pressures of that. Like I'm just like,
well, and
at
it was
a young age, and you were naturally beautiful. You didn't need all that.
Well, you grow up where you're told that this is wrong with you, and this is wrong with you, and this is wrong with you. You're just like, wow. I couldn't believe how long I believed that. And now I'm like, I'm pretty good. I've got my stuff together. I like my hair. I love who I am now. But before I was like, I'm not liking myself, which was, because it was all on what other people expected for me to be.
And what's beautiful is your outside looks so beautiful when you're in love with yourself. Like God wouldn't create something that's ugly. I'm telling myself I'm all these things. Michelle, I remember wanting to jump out of my skin. Like sometimes I just have all this shaking going on in my body and like not really aware that was really happening because I was just like, oh, that's what I'm going through. And I wouldn't even question it. It was just like I wanted to jump out. So you guys have had things like that where you're just working really hard, but people kept telling you there's something wrong with you or something wrong with you. So this is a powerful podcast. I mean, this is pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest blessings more than anything is when you finally get the life that you want. I'm there. I've had it. I just didn't appreciate it.
Yeah.
And now I'm starting to appreciate it.
Yeah, you can do that on $1 an hour to $50 million an hour, just based on because the having money is so wonderful, but you don't need that because that just helps. Like I want to go to the movies and I want to go watch this show, and so that you get to play with that. That's really fun, and some clothes and things like that. But it really when you start falling apart, you realize no, you can make money without falling apart too.
Yeah,
because money is a frequency. You don't want to kick that out. I mean. I love when people want money because that's a spiritual journey in its own. So I really appreciate that you're connected with that. Sometimes I'm like, pull back, Michelle. Because Michelle, you're still making the money, but you're still kicking your ass. You're like, I'm working 12 hours a day. Like, you're like, Rhonda, can you meet at 8 tonight? And I'm like, why? Like, you're working till then? And you're like, oh, yeah, I'll be working till about 10. This is early tonight. And I was like, oh. And that was the last big company that you were working with. And I started noticing that. And let's finish this off, Michelle. Anything you want to share and then I'll just close it off. But anything else you want to share? You did a really good job serving. It's been a bit since we ran your show, and I think we need to do that, huh?
Yeah,
to get kind of
this
solutions.
definitely and the reasons why we didn't run my show, I was not in the right space of mind, and my body was, the pain was just off the charts. And you cannot, the one thing I've learned, and this is the second time I've had a big pain episode like this, or no, this is the third time.
Mm.
And one time when I was first diagnosed with MS, I mean, I woke up, I couldn't see and I couldn't move.
Oh,
The second time was when I spent all that time in the hospital. And this last time, was definitely a major flare up, but it almost took me out.
anything else you want to share, my friend? I think you gave so much today.
Well, and I just want people to know there is so much hope. I am a living testimony of the miracles that God has done into my life and my health, because I am in remission from 8 chronic diseases. And yes, this little stress thing came along, but I'm kind of taking some, time to get better and definitely change it to stay healthy, because it's the most important thing, because I have so many gifts to give the world. So, Rhonda, I appreciate you having me on my show.
Yeah.
I feel like it's our show.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm just here to hold the space. Come on, it's your show. This is all about you. I don't have any chronic diseases. I just had one, and I've been off medicine for I think 9 years now, Michelle. On medicine for 20 years, and I think we're all learning in this journey. I'm just holding the space for you because you are you are ready. You're getting yourself ready for that big stage to be able to kind of sit
Oh,
with the audience and just sit in this podcast. I'm launching podcasts now, and this is where your frequency, what you're saying, and how you get to level people up. These podcasts are so important. I know they're hot because people are driving and they want to hear it. They want to go all over the place. So keep listening, keep hanging in with Michelle, because you'll notice from this soft launch we've been doing, really just kind of getting things going. If you catch any of the first, okay, baby, hold on. I guess he's saying we're done. But if you catch the first one all the way down to where we are now, Michelle, you've grown a lot. Woohoo! My daughter's here today.
Oh, fun. You guys are well, it's snowing at the lake, so drive careful.
Okay. I love you, Michelle.
I love you
I
too.
love your audience, and we've learned a lot today. You just keep your focus on God. You know what that is, and in your audience, anybody watching, you're in that divine space. And if you have any question about God and the divine spaces, give yourself some breath here and think about where is your source, because you need this. You can't just rely on your brain, the fight or flight thing, because Michelle's talking about those chronic diseases, and God has always been in her life, but she disconnected to try and work herself as hard as she could. And please think about this. We want you here. We want you to be able to lock arms with Michelle and the community as she's building stuff. So have a wonderful day, and we'll see you. Probably we've been doing Fridays.
Yeah. And the other thing too, I want to get people on that have helped me with my health journey. They're amazing doctors and naturopaths, and just to share, how you have to get to the root of the problem.
Yeah.
That's the only way you can get better. And a lot of medicines are masked, because believe me, I was on all of them, and I still have to be on some, but it's not like, I can't take any MS drugs anymore because my brain had a brain eating amoeba. I'm on other products that help me stay healthy.
Oh, I know. I'm not on thyroid medicine anymore because it was hurting my kidneys. My lower back, just being in my mid 50s and already having the pain. Well, this is mid 40s, and I'm already having the pain and the tiredness. And I know Western medicine, they're trying, and they do mask. And sometimes for a moment you need it just in that transition. But let's just keep talking about the root cause. This is so lovely to be able to think mindset, where your spirit is, and the food, and this conversation. We just want to keep this going. Namaste. Enjoy your afternoon. Happy Friday, or whenever you're catching this. Love